All right, bring it back together. So again, I'm going to be talking to the camera over here. So if you guys want to migrate over there, there's still shade. Okay, so 3 different rings are running. Understand wanting to get folks lots of reps and things like that. And each conversation I heard was a little bit different on certain things, which I think is important and we'll come back to later. Not that it's bad, it's just worth thinking about. But what were some general insights that folks had? Was this kind of confusing?
Yeah.
Why is it confusing?
You're trying to read minds. You're
trying to read minds by reading intentions, yeah. Right? And so that can be a challenge under a couple of conditions. One, what is one condition that makes that difficult? Or what is one reason why reading is hard for judges?
Stylistic differences?
Stylistic differences, yeah, right? If some people are going to come in and swing a longsword around with like real like flowy and try to do lots of consistent stuff like that, and some people are just going to be here, right? And that can be a problem to be like, all right, what's your intention? And if you're exposed to something that's out of your wheelhouse from your own training, that can be a problem. That can be a challenge, right? What else?
I've been looking at this from the SCA style fencing perspective, and we don't grapple.
Yeah.
So it's like that completely came out of left field for me. Like, wait, you can do that?
Yes, yeah. There's going to be things that you're not exposed to and not aware of, right? And that's going to vary by rule set. So for example, icebreaker, we do not allow pommels to make contact. We've actually completely eliminated pommels for various reasons. Pommels are like high scoring value targets and actions in other tournaments. So like that can vary, and sometimes things are going to be easier or more difficult or more familiar or less familiar to the crowd that you're working with. Yeah, another thought.
Experience of the fencers, like I'm very new to longsword, so sometimes it feels like I can be kind of the wild card. Like you would expect me to take a more thoughtful approach, and it's like, oh wait, I'm panicking.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, multiple really good points in there. One is like the experience of the fencer. The experience of the fencer could be like fight, flight, or freeze, right? I've done all kinds of longswords, so I can step into a ring with just about anybody, and I'm not necessarily going to win, but I'm going to feel comfortable trying to play my game, and my micro adjustments are going to be like, well, I know what I want to do, and I might or might not do that perfectly. A newer fencer, especially like a first-time fight, they might do something that's completely out of left field for them, and they're not expecting it, right? But that also reflects on the judges. Who here has been learning fencing for less than 6 months? Is it hard to understand what's going on as a judge if you don't have a lot of fencing experience? Yeah. So what's a really good way to get better at the interpreting of judging? Fence, right? Fence things out, work things out, be scholarly, read, study, all that kind of stuff. Because how you view the fencing itself makes it easier. Other thoughts or questions or comments from that drill?
I mean, the core basics of just like, you can't see 360 degrees of the two fighters at one time. You're always on a side and never, and oftentimes it feels like not the right side, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, both of their actions are inside and here, and I'm behind somebody.
Yeah.
Like, did he touch? I don't know.
So hold on to that, because one of the games we're going to play a little bit later in the afternoon is going to get right at that. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. You're not going to be able to see everything, even if you have the mental vision of like, I know exactly what's about to happen. Like in the early example, like Autumn was going to try to hit to the belly, and I was obscured. So if like, well, I know that next hit's going to be out of line. If I'm running a ring as a director or a judge, I'm going to be hoping my assistant judge is in the correct position.
Yeah.
And if like the next action will be, hey, assistant judge, did you see that hit? That might have happened. I'm not sure. That plays into it. I think something else in general was sometimes the conversations ended up being like, well, this person is going to try to Scheitelhau from here, or this person's trying to take an ox and things like that. I love that from a fencing coach and trainer and trainee perspective. From a judging perspective, that language gets complicated and slows down interpretation. Was that a Scheitel or was it a Schiel? They got hit in the face, right? When we're judging, we're not trying to interpret the actions themselves as scholarly as we might when we're training the actual fencing. We need to know whether or not it was a hit of quality, whether or not it was sufficient contact, whether or not it was excessive force, what happened afterwards. And so using a common vernacular, thrust, cut, strike, that kind of stuff, rather than trying to get into the details, will keep the interpretation and the communication more efficient.